Welcome to another edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willis, your host. Today I'm honored to speak with Diana Luna. Diana is a delegate here out of Abilene,
Yes,
Texas,
I am a delegate.
and she is running for House District 71. Diana Luna, welcome to Politics Done Right. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing great.
It's been a great convention so far.
It's been a great, actually, you know what I love about this convention? The energy.
Yes, the energy is energy.
And let me tell you,
yes.
I wrote an article last night, in fact, and I said the energy is great, right?
Yes.
But then I said, but we have to remember that Texas elected Paxton 3 times, Texas elected Donald Trump multiple times. We have to change the paradigm. So as we are excited to note that we're going to win, we have to put people out there that are demonstrating the Texas values to ensure we win. Diana, what makes you the Democrat that's going to win 71?
I also, not just that I'm going to win 71, but I want to give all the Democrats and progressives out there hope, because I think there's something different about this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to tell y'all what's going on in rural Texas, because I know sometimes
You're in rural Texas.
I am in
it's Abilene,
Texas.
rural Texas.
District 71 is so red you can
I need
see
to
it from
interrupt you a
space.
second.
Yeah.
I want to say kudos and thank you. One of the things I've been pushing is that we must address rural Texas.
We do.
The platform is yours.
Yeah. So out in rural Texas, everybody's forgotten about us. Not just the Democrats. The Republicans are like, we're going to win, so we don't have to have a party infrastructure. Let's just run a candidate and throw money at it.
Right.
So they don't have an infrastructure. And the Democrats essentially were like, we can't compete.
Right.
Then the essentially billionaire and elitist class moved in, put a bunch of data centers in our backyard.
Right.
They defunded all the windmills that were already in our backyard. And so now landowners are just dumping all this windmill equipment.
Wait, let me stop. Are you saying a lot of the windmills that were out there in Abilene are shut down beyond, even though they're still functional?
Yeah, they couldn't use the subsidies they needed for the data centers are the same. It's the same money. And so that you can't do both in Texas.
Right.
Apparently we can't walk and chew gum. We can't fund public schools. We can't do anything because the data centers, all these billionaires, they need more money.
But of course we're sitting on a surplus in Texas.
Exactly. But we're still giving billionaires 85% tax abatements in rural areas so that they will come, because their business model just doesn't work if we can't give them these 85% tax abatements. And for me, I'm saying if you need an 85% tax abatement, your business model does not work. And I'm one of the only people that's willing to stand up to them because I didn't take their money. So I don't have to bow down to our corporate overlords because I didn't take their money. And so somebody's got to stand up to these guys. I've been organizing since the Arch County has been organizing since they started coming out here. And then all of a sudden, they start screwing over farmers. We have people that show up in Haskell, Texas, to generational farms in Stand Your Ground, Texas, and that people have owned that land and farmed that land and worked that land for hundreds of years and say, hey, this is the map of your land. We need this part of it. You can rent it to you can sell it to us, or we're going to fight you in court for it. So it's your choice. And imagine in Texas, like this whole, every Republican is running on, I'm an 8th generation, 9th generation, 12th generation Texas. But those same nice guy Republicans that are 12th generation Texans, they're letting these billionaires just come in and take Texas farms. The largest farmer in Texas right now is Bill Gates.
It is. Oh, really?
Yes. The largest farmland owner in Texas is Bill Gates.
And it's funny because they only want to be farmland owners because of the tax breaks they can take by naming a piece of land a farm.
Yes, that's exactly right. And meanwhile, that dream that so many rural Texans had of owning a small piece of property, working that land, and just that West Texas lifestyle, the old West is dying.
Now, I spoke to the SD Senate District 1 candidate, and what I told her was, I hope those of you that are running in the rural areas are giving those farmers permission to vote for you. Yeah. And here's what I mean by that. These guys, they can like you, and they think they can't vote for you because you have the big D next to your name. Yeah. And that is a big stumbling block. I hope the message is out there to tell these farmers, look, feel free to vote for me, because when you go into that voting booth, your vote is between you, your God, and the machine.
Yeah.
You can get out of there and says, I didn't vote for that Deanna Luna. Mm-hmm. And I'd still have voted for Deanna Luna because you know Deanna Luna is going to protect your interest.
You know, and that's actually been my campaign strategy. We all have a lifetime of connections.
Right.
And it's been touching base with all those people. My class my graduating class from rural, Cooper High School that I went with going, hey, class of 2003, I'm one of you. You knew me. We grew up together.
Right.
You know my values. You know who I am. I'm going to fight for you. I'm fighting for our public schools. The public school heritage that we grew up with doesn't exist anymore because they defunded our schools.
Right.
And it's just having all these people that co-sign off of you. So when you grew up in rural Texas, like touching base with right now we have a Let Us Breathe movement, and the founder of Let Us Breathe, I know her. She's in my mom group. Right. We're raising kids in the same community and on the same side of town, touching base with my Latino community, and also Republicans who a lot of people in West Texas and in rural Texas are raised Republican, but most of them don't vote. They're just Republican and non-voting.
Because it's a culture thing.
Yes. And being I was also raised in that same culture and community, but I can't sign off on what the Republicans are doing. I can't sign off on no bid contracts. I can't sign off on coming into our independent school district. This party of small government is using their big government power by coming into small independent school districts and taking over. And for a party that believes in small government, that doesn't sound like small government.
Well, additionally, even the policies that they're passed you are paying for it because your school pays property taxes and all these other taxes that go into the school district. Yes. And when they created voucher programs, hey, in Abilene, do you have any private schools or enough private schools for folks to use those vouchers to go to? You don't.
No, let me tell you what's actually happening with that. What's happening is that a lot of people with special needs children are being convinced to pull their kids out of public school because this charter school could better meet the needs of autistic children, or they just want them in other programs, even though the independent school district actually does have better programs. But the paraprofessionals that work for the independent school district still have to manage those cases. They still have to do all of those things, and we're not paying our paraprofessionals nearly enough. Teachers got a raise, but none of those other hourly workers in the state of Texas got a raise. They didn't give us the budget for that. And so schools work better when there's a lot of adults around there to watch these kids, to make sure that they're safe, to make sure they're okay. So not just our teachers need that raised wage, but also everybody else who makes the school system work. And those people are being stressed so much because of this voucher scam. They still have to work for those kids that are being pulled out, and that money that's being pulled out of public schools. They still have to work for those kids.
They still have to work. And again, the public education has been proven to be better, no matter how skewed one wants to create a statistic that says otherwise.
Yeah, no, so I grew up as a free lunch kid. And back then, you had to do the paperwork. And my mom is inmigrantes de Mexico, and she didn't know how to do the paperwork. And I remember that deadline would pass every year, and I'd be too embarrassed to tell my mom, Mom, necesitas que hacer el papeleo, o no
lo puedo hacer, claro.
O no puedo comer. So I just wouldn't tell her because I'd get so embarrassed, and I would wait for the counselor. But that deadline would pass, and back then what would happen, because we didn't have universal school lunch, so I would go through the line. The way that I know that it had lapsed was they would take my tray and they would dump it in the trash can right in front of me, right in front of your classmates.
They did that to you when you were in school?
They would do it to everybody who couldn't afford your lunch. And then they would hand you a cheese sandwich. So this food that was perfectly good food, they would dump it in the trash can, and they would hand you a cheese sandwich.
And they'll make everybody see that they're dumping it into the trash can.
Yes, and they're like, oh, this poor person can't afford this food. Let's dump it in the trash can and give them a cheese sandwich. And then, so I got to the point where if I wasn't sure if my mom had done the paperwork, I would go and I would just say, oh, I'm not hungry today. And I would just go sit down because I didn't want to deal with the embarrassment.
Right.
And for a long time now, Abilene has been able to have a universal free lunch program. So it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if your parents can fill out the paperwork. It doesn't matter any of it. You're going to get a free lunch. You're going to get a hot breakfast.
Work towards that.
Yes. And right now, those programs are vulnerable because of all of the cuts to public education and public education grants, those programs. And I refuse to let another child be embarrassed by these. Why are we punishing children? You know what I mean? The most vulnerable in our population, you're going to embarrass them and shame them because they can't pay for their lunch.
You know what? That is why it is so important for people of the neighborhood, the area, to run. And I am sure if you can get your message out, just about everybody is going to want to vote for you.
Yeah, thank you.
Mira, te voy a decir, eres lo que está buscando el lugar ese.
Gracias. Gracias y gracias por lo que están haciendo ustedes, gracias por estar aquí, gracias por apoyarnos porque es no, donde yo vivo, todas las personalidades que tienen plataforma son republicanos y ellos no nos quieren hablar o les han dicho que no nos hablen y entonces tenemos un mensaje para darle a la gente que tienen opciones pero no tenemos ninguna manera
en cómo que la gente lo puede oír. Y, pues te voy a decir algo. Esto lo voy a preparar y esta partecita también lo preparo por un TikTok para que la otra gente lo pueda ver también.
Gracias.
Muchas gracias por estar aquí y estar hablando con Politics Done Right. Thank you so kindly for having been here and speaking to Politics Done Right.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Independent media is our last resort to ensure all voices are heard. Corporate media reflects those who pay for it via advertising and coercion. We are funded solely by you. Please become a paid subscriber to our newsletter that supports our entire multifaceted online and on-air independent media platforms.